Hi, Reg.
Good morning, Theodore and my Danettes. And I will say Lynn Sanity was probably the last good thing to happen to the New York Knicks in a long time.
I was wondering this, Reg, that I just saw from Adrian Wojnarowski, that the Lakers are putting off the possibility of bringing Melo in until maybe they get closer to a playoff spot. Why not bring him in now to get into the playoff spot? If he's good enough to play for a team that's going into the playoffs, why wouldn't I bring him in to help me get into the playoffs?
Well, that's because you're very logical and you're thinking logical, but possibly over there in Lakerland, they are not thinking logical. I still don't understand, and it's a little surprising to me that Melo is not on a squad somewhere. But I can understand why they're pausing here, because the Lakers are moonwalking. They have definitely gone backwards in terms of player development and their drive. This is a huge week for the Lakers. In my opinion, if they go 3-0, they've got the Clippers tonight. They've got, I believe, Denver on Wednesday, and I believe the Celtics on Saturday.
Wow.
If they can find a way to go 3-0, I believe, personally, my opinion, they will make the playoffs. They go 1-2, it's a wrap. I mean, it's a wrap. And the disappointing part about this, the loss to the Suns, they played great in losing to Milwaukee. They should have won that game at home. Mm-hmm. But you flip around 24 hours later and lose on the road to the worst team with the worst record in the Phoenix Suns. There's no excuse. So I think that's why there's so much pausing going on with Melo, is this team is moonwalking. They're going backwards.
But also they play down to their opposition. They're so consistent at playing down to their opposition, which is a bad thing. You can't lose to these teams, Reg. And they get up for the bigger games, but you're losing to the Wizards and the Grizzlies, New Orleans, and now the Phoenix Suns?
Throwing the Hawks in there. And look, I'm going to say this. To me, that's leadership. And as much as, we talk about LeBron James, and rightfully so, being in the conversation for the GOAT, you've got to look at him because these losses have happened on his watch. I will discredit the 18 games he was gone because that wasn't the Lakers. But I believe since he's been back, they're 4-7. And a lot of these losses that you just mentioned to these sub-500 teams has been on LeBron's watch. And I am one of the biggest LeBron's fans, but it comes down to leadership and finding a way to get these young guys motivated to play hard. They play hard, as you said, when you're going against the great teams. They should have ran the Phoenix Suns off the floor after that disappointing loss versus the Bucks. But you let a young team that has, young talent in Booker and Ayton, Kelly Oubre, these guys, they hang around and they feel good at home, and this is a notch in their belt to beat the Lakers, to keep them down. So to me, it's leadership.
Bigger disappointment, the Lakers or the Celtics?
Well, the Celtics are going to make the playoffs.
Well, I know, but they're a mess.
They are, and to me, it's all about chemistry. When I see the Celtics play now over the last month, it's a bunch of the identities don't fit, and there's so much eye rolling and so much finger pointing that's going on in a team that we expected to be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and for whatever reason, there's something going on in that locker room that's just not right. And it's hard to put a finger on it because people are quick to point, fingers at Kyrie Irving, but the chemistry clearly is not there for the Celtics right now. But to me, the biggest disappointment would be the Lakers because we expected the Lakers, even though the Western Conference, in my opinion, is tougher, we expected the Lakers at least to be a top 4 seed in the West, and that just hasn't been the case. So the bigger disappointment, in my opinion, is the Lakers because you have the best player of this generation on that team, and you're on the outside looking in.
Talking to Reggie Miller, will be on the call with Kevin Harlan. That'll be Thunder at the Blazers coming up on Thursday night on TNT. Trey Young, in his last 5 games, has been on a roll, averaging almost 33 points a game. He got tossed from the Bulls game, and I know you commented on social media about this. He stared at Chris Dunn with Chris Dunn's back to him, and he had his hands on his hip, and then he got – how do you get tossed for that?
This league is driving me absolutely crazy. It has become so soft and so sensitive, and you can't look at anyone the wrong way. These referees – It's driving me I told people I would have been broke and out of the league in 2 years if they're calling the things that they're calling now. And the thing about it is they pick and choose who they want to penalize, because you got Steph Curry and you've got Chris Paul doing the shimmy at one another and taunting one another, and nothing happens. You got Draymond Green. Every time there's a foul called on him in the face of the official, and they do nothing. But Trey Young knocks down it looked like a 30-footer. And they had words before in the game, and they got a technical before. I get that. It's just looking at a dude, you get tossed, you get a technical and get tossed because that's your second tech. It's too sensitive. It's too soft now. It's not the game that – and look, I'm sure the Jerry West and Oscar Robertson – they're probably thinking that about my era in the 80s and 90s, that we were soft. It's hard to watch at times because they pick and choose when they want to enforce things, and that's not right.
Do you think there's still an outside chance of Trey Young catching Luka Doncic for Rookie of the Year?
Probably not. But what it does do is validate the switch that they did on draft day, because a lot of people were scratching their head after the first 2.5, 3 months that Luka had. Like, what was the Hawks thinking? I think if you're a Hawks fan now and going forward, you're happy you made this decision, because it looks like he has turned the corner. You and I talked about Trey Young's three-point shooting, I think about a month and a half, 2 months ago, how much he was struggling. He was shooting in the teens, I believe, close to 20%. But he's found a way. Number one, he hit the rookie wall early, and I think he's gotten his legs back, and more importantly, his confidence. And I think that Coach Scott, they've built that offense around him, obviously, and he has pieces, and there's a lot of high drag roll situations where he can be effective. So I think he's found his legs, he's found his confidence, and I think the Hawks going forward are going to have a really good time developing around this young player.
The Lakers owner, Jeannie Buss, calls out sports reports of LeBron, Anthony Davis, that pursuit as fake news, that it didn't really happen. They didn't offer their roster for Anthony Davis.
Stop it. Yes, you did. Stop it. I mean, that's the problem. Stop lying. It was, and to Dell Demps and the New Orleans credit, it was the best Trojan horse ever. It was, because what you did, you've really destroyed 3 franchises: the Pelicans, the Lakers, and the Celtics. All 3 teams are dysfunctional right now because of this. Because all these young players on the Celtics, all the young players on the Lakers are saying, you want us to play hard, but come summertime, we all could be out of here? I mean, I know trades are a part of the business, but that's why trades are kept secret. The agents have so much power now, they know when trades are coming down, because you got to contact them. They tell their players, and because of social media, it gets blown up. Trades back in the day between general managers and or presidents were kept secret for this very reason, because you did not want the Trojan horse to blow up. Well, this became public when Anthony Davis and his agent, Rich Paul, they made it public that he wanted out. His preferred destination was LeBron James and the Lakers. And they offered everyone, including the trainer, including the equipment manager, everyone. So stop lying. Yes, and it was the best Trojan horse, knowing all along they were never going to send Anthony Davis to the Lakers. So now you have the young players on the Celtics saying, wait a minute. Danny Ainge saying, just wait till summer. We can make a great deal, keep Kyrie. So if I'm Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm going to be in this now? So you got these young players upset. Keep your mouth quiet. If Anthony Davis would have kept his mouth quiet, I believe something would have happened. But when they made it public, things went south.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sold off a lot of his memorabilia, and he was going to use it for charity. I think it was like $2.4 million. What's the best piece of memorabilia you have?
I do have Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, Charles. While I played, all those guys signed jerseys for me that are framed. Those are probably I would say those jerseys.
But how do you ask Jordan, given your relationship?
I didn't ask.
What'd you do?
I didn't ask. I had someone who worked for the Pacers say, go ask that dude. I didn't even say his name. Go ask that dude in the other locker room if he signed this, and if he looks at you crazy, just walk out. Tell him, because I could care less. But I knew down the line, if fences were ever mended, I could possibly want an MJ jersey. He was gracious enough to sign it. But here's the caveat. I told the dude to go down there and get the jersey signed. He took 2 jerseys down there because he wanted one too. So now it looks like I'm being greedy, like I'm a fanboy of MJ. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I had to get one myself. I'm like, oh, God.
But
then he goes out and drops.
What's your relationship like Jordan today?
Very respectful. I am of him. We'd be cordial if we saw one another. I'm mincing words here because, I saw him from afar in Charlotte at the All-Star game, and I kind of gave him like a salute, and he just looked at me with those steel black eyes. I saw that tongue getting ready to come out. I started to lace up my shoes a little bit tighter, and I was getting ready to run out there on the court, Dan. But it's cordial. It is cordial to Mr. Jordan.
Reg, I saw the video of you shooting when you went back to Indiana. Why aren't you into three-point shooting? Physically, could you get enough shots off that you could win the three-point shooting contest?
Not win, but I could compete. I would say I would not come in last. But looking at this past three-point competition, in my opinion, it was the best. It was the highlight of Saturday night, but it might be the best three-point competition since I've been at Turner. These dudes were shooting. For Steph to lose after shooting 24 in the final round, Joe Harris put on a shooting clinic. This was by far the best three-point competition I had personally witnessed because so many guys were in the 20s. I mean, that is flat out getting it done.
I know you could.
I don't think I would have came in last. I would not have came in last if you would have given me 2 months to prepare. Just shoot. I'll always be able to shoot. And I would have finished the whole rack, by the way. But I'll always be able to shoot.
Did you see the guy who made 31 consecutive NBA three-pointers? And
that's not a trick. That is not a trick, right?
No.
I mean, I keep watching that over and over. That is phenomenal.
He made 31 in a row.
Magic, Rob Pelinka. That's who you need to be looking after. Y'all are desperate for three-point shooting. Give that dude a 10-day. Forget Carmelo Anthony. Go find this dude and tell him just stay here in the corner.
Yeah.
When LeBron drives, he'll kick it out to you. And on the other way, we'll play a 2-3 zone. You're on the back line of the 2-3 zone.
I still would love to have the former players, current players, and you have tag team three-point shooting where you do a rack and then you have the next Damon Lillard does a rack and then you do a rack and like you did something like that. I think that would be fun. So that way the guys who haven't played in a long time, they're not going to get as tired, but they can still be respectable. You'd be my first pick, though. Former players shooting threes?
I would put Ray in there. I would, after watching Glenn Rice, I would certainly put Glenn Rice in there because he carried the Mark Price and Ray in that.
Not better than you.
I would probably put Peja in there.
I might put Peja in there.
I might put Peja in there, and I think Craig Hodges can still get it done too. That's a nice 5 guys. And we'll go with the current NBA guys. They pick 5 guys: Steph, Clay, Lillard, Joe Harris, who just won.
Yeah.
And pick one more guy. And We'll go toe-to-toe. We'll be there, Huckleberry.
Do you know, Reg, I had Ray Allen in the studio, and I corrected his jump shot.
You did what?
Yeah, no, I did. He had the ball on his palm a little bit. Seton, do you have the direct quote that I had for Ray Allen when he came in the man cave?
You know you're shooting the ball wrong, right?
I know. I say that to Ray Allen because he had the ball a little bit more on his palm, and I always tell these guys, get it up on your fingertips. So Ray is wrong, in my opinion, and he looks at me like, what? What'd you say? Yes.
Well, he immediately said, no, I don't. And you said, yeah, you do. And then there became this awkward moment of like, wow, you're really telling Ray Allen that he's shooting the ball wrong.
He had the ball a little bit on his palm, Reg.
In all fairness, Theodore, I've heard that many of times of my jump shot being ugly and I held the ball wrong. Shooting is like fingerprints. They're totally different for everyone. So I shoot totally different from Ray, from Steph, from Clay, from Lillard, from you. Everyone shoots the ball totally different. It's all about being comfortable in your release form and having your shoulders square. See, as awkward as I shot, and in many different angles as I shot, one thing that was always true, my shoulders were always square at the end of the day to the rim. Now, it might look funky, but as long as my shoulders were square, cash money rules.
Yeah, but you end up, it's like golf swings. It's you may start out in a different place. You may be at the top of your swing in a different place. But when you get to the ball, are you in the same place as everybody else? And that's the way it is
Correct.
with shooting.
The follow through.
Yeah,
yes.
And your follow through is great. It's, fundamentally, that's what you want. You want that great follow through. You see that with all these great players, with Clay, with Steph. Jordan used to do it. You just do that, what is it, the swan, where you just have that hand that's following through. So,
yeah.
But
well, I will say this. You need to save that conversation for when Ben Simmons comes to the man cave.
Oh, my God.
Because and I hope I get a chance to work with him this summer. He's kind of reached out, so maybe we will get together. When I see him shoot, I'm not going to change his mechanics and how he shoots. I'm going to more so change his repetition. I just don't think he's shooting enough, and that comes with repetition, and I want his confidence to go up. But have you seen where he holds his offhand on the ball? That I've never seen that before. But I'm not going to change it. I would never tell him to change it because that's how he's been shooting his whole life.
But you're going to work out with Ben this summer?
Maybe. I mean, if the moon and the stars, come together, I would love to work with him. And I'm not going to make him a three-point shooter. I don't think he needs to be a three-point shooter. But if he got a 17 to 19 face you up jump shot on a consistent basis, along with Giannis, those two players, if they ever got true jump shots,
oh boy,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Reg on the call with Kevin Harlan, Thursday night, Thunder and the Blazers, 10:30 Eastern on TNT. Safe travels, Reg. Talk to you soon.
Theodore, I love you so much. Damn it. Let's do this.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.